being in control. Thank you very much, Ricardo, and thank you for asking me to come and talk about a bit of our work and some of the themes that we've been preoccupied with and exploring over the last decade of practice that I've been in practice on my own for about a decade. My background before that, working within Edinburgh, I was project architect at Richard Murphy Architects, and was responsible for fish markets, close housing and housing on the Canongate opposite Canongate Kirk, before heading off to work at Edinburgh Uni part-time and start to build up a practice from very small beginnings when people start to ask you to do extensions again. So you go from these multi-million-pound projects all the way back now. And you know, it's there, I'm still somewhere over here on the way. I don't know whether I'll get back up those to the multi-million-pound project. That's not really relevant to me. Size is not important. It's certainly a challenge to work on bigger projects, but any project is a challenge, and any project can be fantastically enjoyable. So I'm just going to take you a little whirl through what we've done, those things that you may know, things that you don't know. We are here. This is important to us, where we are, sense of identity, sense of place. So we had another office until about a year ago that had a different but equally spectacular view, and now we enjoy looking out of our shop window, seeing the bridge and next stop Denmark, out through the Firth and Forth. We moved here because we expanded, we've been busy, and we started, or I started, from a very basic place. When I was a student in the 1990s recession, couldn't get a job, I went and built a house in the Hebrides. And it is, many would describe it as pure vernacular. It is literally out of what I could find. Everything in this picture was free. This is the house, modest, traditional building. But it was important to me because it was a founding on understanding materials, how they were put together, how things are made, doing it myself, putting me in a position where I never wanted to be in a position where I was going onto a building site and talking to a builder about how to do something when I didn't have a pretty good idea how to do it. Even if I didn't have the ability to do it, I knew the principles of how to do something. So having built this, I felt at least not that sort of uncomfortable nature of an architect, the defence of an architect going onto site and talking to people making a building, but actually a really good relationship with people making things. But it also reinforced a preoccupation of working in landscape and working in challenging environments. And when I started work for myself, subsequent to time at Murphy's and qualification, going back to university and all that sort of thing, this was the first project we did down in Stockbridge, and it reflects some themes that certainly Richard, I know, has been interested in, the transforming buildings opening and closing down, but it also reflects an interest for me, the connection between the inside and the outside, breaking down anti-object buildings, so that this whole glazed screen in front of which a photograph of it opens out to the garden, but also conversely good places of enclosure and snugness, because it's all very well having sort of light, airy buildings with no walls. The old East Van der Rohe problem of making buildings with no walls, and then no one would want to be sick in Farnsworth perhaps, because everybody can see how close all the curtains there. So in Scotland, you do need that snugness, you do need that protection. And this is a sort of manifestation also of the like and the fascination I have with arts and crafts architecture and ingle looks and coziness and homeliness as well. Not to mention furniture. That is a piece of furniture like the fish box drawers. And then over the years, more extensions. This one is on a Saltire accommodation building, Edinburgh Architectural Association Small Projects Award, New Haven. Very modest, but mainly the main preoccupation that has to become the main thing that we're dealing with is space. Not materials, not glass, not zinc. Our main commodity is space. So again, this is an anti-object building, where really all we're building is this empty beauty, which doesn't really express itself more than just in a sort of elegant and simple way, has to be there. But this is a bit of garden that we've nicked to be in the house. And by nicking it, it knits together lots of spaces that you had to sort of squeeze through at the back of the house. And this was the living room, and now the living room has a sort of dining room, living room, very informal relationship with the extension of the kitchen around the corner. The kitchen is in far space there. So these are themes that we've carried on with, and I'll illustrate the White House in a bit more detail in a minute. And you'll see these themes coming up in that project, and we've got a bigger canvas to explore them, and in many respects a more spectacular canvas to explore them. And one final project in Edinburgh that we did, this is a different sort of theme, because this is about internal life within a building, and not really doing very much to the outside of the building. Circus Lane, a former silversmith's shop, and the vault underneath, which were completely disconnected to each other. The only connection to this space from this space was down this ladder, and that had to be dug through the floor of that connection. And that was all that was there when we came to become involved in this project, with the request that we would turn this into a functioning house. So how do you do that when the whole building's underground? You've got no light, you've got no air, you've got no escape, and we had very positive conversations with building control in this very room about how the heck to get this to work. We had a fine building control officer who stood on his head and said, yes, we can do this by doing that, and that by doing this, and we found ways of doing it. But the basic architectural principles we have here are opening up light chutes to above, up into the street, breaking up the vault, breaking up the floors, letting light through different sort of shafts and cuts in the vault itself, which, as a practical thing, was extremely difficult. We had to build a wooden vault under the vault before taking it away, and use virtually every pit prop in Edinburgh to prop it up. So this wooden vault was built on the left, and then it was propped here, so that we could then take away this section here, which is bonkers. It's crazy. It's not what vaults do. So we had to think sort of quite sort of cleverly about how to do that. And that's the completed building. So not particularly different from the outside. The only difference we've got here is that this was the coal chute that also went from the street down into the vault, and we made a new one as well, and we called them light chutes instead. So they are the escape windows. They've got automatic openers on them. They are the ventilation. They are the light to the lower story. And inside, very carefully crafted, very furniture-y, but the whole building is a piece of furniture rather than thinking of it as an object going into the space. That coat cupboard there is the only piece of object furniture within the space. And you come in on the left, just outside this it's got lots of flush detailing. This has got a boiler in it, hiding the lights away so that the space speaks for itself. We're making space. We're not preoccupied with light fittings. There is one hanging from the ceiling there. We're preoccupied with light. And hopefully this illustrates it. So you can see the light coming down from the light chute on the left-hand side, and this is as you go down the staircase. And the spaces down in the vaults, having a bit of fun, sort of light sources and the insertion of fresh, clean, modern materials inside the old vault. So that's where we started, and that's where we finished. So a lot of work by Inkscape Joinery, who we work with on a lot of our projects, and really that was a challenge for them as a logistical exercise. They had no site depot. They would stop for their tea break, and they would unhook the table from the wall, put it in the middle of the floor. They finished the tea break, they'd hang the table back up. There was nowhere for them to go. They had a portal outside, and that was that. Skips came and went. Big challenge, but they rose to it. Nicely, some people started asking us to do houses, and this was the first house that we did. On the Isle of Coll. 2 houses on the Isle of Coll were built at the same time as each other. This house here